Hi, this is Matt from Lost Creek Machine. This is a Bridgeport Series 2 Special. Seems to be a really nice mill. Head is nice and quiet. But a Bridgeport Series 2 Special is supposed to have an air assist to lift the really heavy knee. Without it, it's really hard to crank it up. Well, I plugged in the air on this one, and I heard air leaking, and I could feel the air coming out from underneath the base. So I contacted H&W, and they do sell a rebuild kit. Unfortunately, they've never put one in, and they didn't have a video, obviously, of how to put it in. So I'm going to try to figure it out. So my first idea is to crank the knee up as high as I can crank it. I'll have to turn the ram, loosen up those 4 bolts and rotate the ram out of the way. And then I'll crank it to the top of its travel. And then I think I might be able to loosen up take those 2 bolts out. Take the oiler out and then remove this flange, and I'm thinking my packing and cup will be underneath there. Obviously I'll block the knee up before I do any of that. So I cranked her up to here, but it seems to have hit a stop or maxed out. So I'm going to block it up now and see if I take that nut loose, what happens. Well, I took the nut loose and was hoping I could jack the knee up, but taking the nut loose wouldn't allow me to jack the knee up. So I took the 4 bolts out of here, and then I was able to jack it up clear of the pedestal. So now I'm going to try to take that off and report what I found. This plate is loose, and I can see my cup right there, and then it looks like there's 4 socket head cap screws that actually hold a plate that hold that cup. So I'm gonna block this up better and pull those socket head cap screws and then hopefully replace my cup. Well, I got that top flange clamped up. I was able to pull the 4 socket head cap screws out of there, take that flange off. See, the spring is kind of sprung. And then here's the gasket, which it was still working, so I don't know if there was anything really wrong with that. I have a feeling there's a gasket on the bottom that's actually allowing the air to escape out the bottom of the base. But I'm going to get this cleaned up, put the new cup on there, put the new spring, and then there's an O-ring. I got to find where that O-ring goes. I don't see. That might be on the bottom too. And then put it back together and then take a look at the bottom. Clearance to get this pedestal out of the base, so I had to reposition with a couple more blocks. Found the O-ring too. The O-ring's right there. So now I'm going to pull the base out and replace that gasket on the bottom. I have the pedestal out and flipped over. I've taken out 7 of the screws. And so I think that's where my air leak was coming from. I got a nice new gasket for it, so hopefully that solves the problem. Some of the pedestal all cleaned up, all the old gasket off of it. Put the new gasket on, make sure that the notch in the gasket is over the air port. Then the aluminum bottom plate. Get all the gasket off of that too. And it has that circle, the hole. Put that over the air port. Line up your screws, screw holes, and then put the screws in. O-ring in. I've got the new cup with the spring behind it. I pulled my cribbing, so now I'm going to let her down slowly so I don't damage that cup. I did put a little oil on her, so hopefully she'll slide in that cavity nice and smooth. Bolts put back in the flange and the nut. I haven't hooked up the oiler yet, but I'll do that next here. Well, off camera. And I hooked up the air and I don't hear anything leaking. And it makes all the difference in the world. So when I heard it leaking when I first hooked it up, I looked for some information on rebuilding that cylinder and I couldn't really find anything. So I just kind of dug into it and it really wasn't that bad. I mean, there was a little bit of a learning curve. But even then, it just took me the afternoon. I think now that I know what I'm doing, it probably only take a couple hours, but obviously the key is, having a good bottle jack and some cribbing. Keep yourself safe while you're under there, but you can get the parts pretty easily from H&W and nothing to be afraid of. Thanks for looking.